the concept for the second game, which emerged very early in the development, was Sly and the gang working together to pull off a string of big heists. And so there were a couple of core elements there. Obviously, that we knew that it was going to be a team-related game. So when in doubt, we would always err on the side of getting another character involved or doing something like that. And we had this dream of sort of giving you the sense that you were pulling off an Ocean's 11 style or an Italian Job style heist. And how could we build an experience for a player where they could get to that?
The thing that's worked really well with this game was just how interwoven it was to the story in terms of helping motivate you through the levels and giving you things to do, and everything really kind of having a sense for purpose for being there. And that was something that I think all across the board everybody worked really hard to do, is to try to always be committed to the characters that you're playing, making sure that they wouldn't be doing something that wouldn't be out of character for them. I think it really comes through when you play the game.
The original idea for Sly came off of sort of 2 points. One was, we thought it would be interesting, sort of abstractly, to have a game, an action platform game, where the main character was a thief, because it kind of justified a lot of gameplay scenarios that you might have to stretch for if your character didn't sort of provide inherent risk-taking and inherent sort of gambling and drama, and that sort of made sense to us. So we loved that idea. So when we were finished with Sly 1, I think we were really pleased at how well the game was received artistically, that the environments and the characters and the storyline was a big success, even the cutscenes that we used. So we really wanted to build off of that and really try and address some of the concerns in terms of the sophistication of the gameplay and the level of diversity in the game. Instead of just kind of going down a course and getting to the end to get a key, we wanted a much more diverse set of tasks. And we also thought that we had these other two great characters, Murray and Bentley, and we really wanted to bring them to the forefront more and get them involved in putting them out in the field and getting them involved in the gameplay. We haven't just created a game with one character and then two side characters, but really with three full-blown characters that have their own moves, that have their own distinct style, their own feel. They even have their own power-ups that you can purchase or collect. So it's a very rich experience, and I think the level of richness in the new game is the thing that we were focused on and feel very successful about achieving that goal.
It has been a challenge and a pleasure trying to make the story work with three interactive characters, because you're switching perspectives very often throughout the game. And it's not just the three gang members in the Cooper gang. There are also a lot of other characters that interact with the Cooper gang, bosses, law enforcement. And one of the more difficult things is trying to make sure that these characters all get screen time, or more importantly, interactive time when you play with them against each other. So it's not enough to have Carmelita Fox show up and kind of say, "I'll get you, Sly Cooper." She needs to show up and chase Sly Cooper so that as a player you feel like, oh, Carmelita's the cop and I'm a thief. So with all the characters, we work pretty hard to put them in positions which allow you to interactively experience who they are in their characters and experience the character of the baddies. They don't just yell at you, they attack you in a method that reflects who they are as people. Sly's grown up and his pals have kind of grown up too, and one of the things that's really kind of different about Sly 2 is that it's all about teamwork with Sly and his two other gang members, Bentley the Turtle and Murray the Hippo. Bentley is this kind of brainiac strategist who likes to do things slowly and thoughtfully, and Murray is this big fella who kind of he wants to be like a Mexican wrestler. He puts on this mask and these gloves with tassels, and he just likes to, kind of knock heads. So the three of them bring different skills into the field, and by working together, they can pull off crimes that they couldn't do individually. The heists in Sly Cooper 2 are pretty interesting in that they have pace to them, and they have a lot of cuts between different characters and different locations, all working together in a coordinated effort to pull off this really large and elaborate crime. We tried to make each of the three characters very different and have different skill sets, and then those skill sets get brought to bear on the heist. So, for instance, Sly might be the acrobat who can climb to inaccessible places and do kind of amazing feats of dexterity in order to allow access to Bentley to get into an area where he can hack the computers, because the other guys can't hack computers. So he'll set to work while hacking, and while he's doing that, he's sort of exposed to danger. So then Murray, who's quite large and kind of the brawler, will defend Bentley from attack. So those guys couldn't have done that by themselves, but they work together. And as a player, you first play as Sly, and then you help Bentley get in the scene, and then you play as Bentley. And while you're playing as Bentley, Murray, then you get to shift to Murray. And often what we'll do is we'll try and go back and forth between them to create a sense of tension.
What we decided to do with this game going forward was really open up everything. The levels are twice as big, 3 times as big than some of the previous levels. A lot more detail, a lot more interesting locations to traverse. I think the interesting change between this game and the previous game was how we're using the environment.
Having a lot of diversity in the gameplay made level design kind of a challenge, in that you had to cram all of these different things you can do into this space that you didn't want to make it so enormous that people would feel lost, or that the space would become kind of dull through its scale. Whenever we get the chance, we try and put in different ways to play, or different play mechanics, just to spice it up, and also to make the locale seem much more real.
Sly 2 Band of Thieves available September 14th. It's a Tuesday, so make a point of it at stores all over North America.